It's not unusual in our faith tradition for ministers to give a kind of state of the congregation sermon once a year, especially at pledge drive time. I thought that this would be a particularly good year for such a reflection, but I don't have a Sunday open to make it a sermon. So a video message seemed like a good idea, and I'm giving it a try. The kinds of things I'll be talking about in this message are the kinds of things your church leadership is talking about all the time. The board of trustees, the coordinating team, your Chalice staff, and the group leaders who come to our quarterly Council of Chairs meetings. We're in an era where it feels tricky to try and assess church health. As with most things right now, the digital age is having a tremendous impact, and everything is changing, and changing quickly. Like, look at what I'm doing right now. We've never done this before. Part of that, but not all of that, is that church membership and participation has been in decline for decades. I mean, church membership, across denominations. The world is becoming more secular, and where it used to be expected that everyone had a church, even if they didn't always attend, church is now wholly optional. Unitarian Universalism has not seen the same dramatic drop as some denominations, but still, our membership numbers are in decline. The digital age certainly impacts regular worship attendance. We live in an on-demand era where we have access to books, movies, television, music, all from the comfort of our own homes, whenever we want them. You don't even need to leave the house to buy a new book you might want. So getting up on Sunday morning to go somewhere for a thing takes a lot of energy compared to other activities. And of course, you don't need to come to church anymore to hear the sermon. We stream it and record it, and you can watch it anytime. So, our membership numbers at Chalice have been relatively flat since I arrived here almost 7 years ago. We see some ups and downs when we clean up the membership list every few years, but in the big picture, the size of the congregation has not changed substantially. Similarly, worship attendance stays about the same from year to year. So does the number of people pledging. By these metrics, the congregation is treading water or holding steady or whatever metaphor you would like to use for staying the same. But of course, it doesn't feel at all like Chalice is staying the same. These metrics, these numbers that have been the hallmark of evaluating church health for decades, don't seem so meaningful in this time of great change. I've wrestled with how to interpret this data a lot as your minister. It's my job to assess the health of the congregation and how we're doing together. But I think the congregation is healthy and doing well. Here's why I think that. Although there's a lot that numbers don't tell us right now, I think it's wonderful that registration of children and youth in our religious education program is at an all-time high of 45 registered. Children and youth who attend must register because we need their parents' contact information and those kinds of things. So that data is still telling us something. And what it's telling me is that families still see a need for religious community, and our children and youth benefit from having a community of peers outside of regular school. This is so important, especially for our teens. I've heard from multiple parents that Chalice has made a positive difference in their children's lives. Parenting and family life has its own challenges in this digital age, and it's our hope and intention that families at Chalice find that the support and resources we offer help make parenting easier. One of my happiest Sundays this church year has been the day of our child dedication in early February. We blessed 15 children from 9 families that day and dedicated the church to playing a role in their upbringing. And we just started at the end of March a parenting discussion group as we read together a book on Unitarian Universalist parenting. I'm so glad that Chalice is a place where parents can lean on and learn from each other. Other signs that we're doing well: new people find us every Sunday and become engaged and involved. We were especially worried about new people finding us as we moved our worship place and time after construction started. It's been so wonderful to have first-time visitors with us at Temple Adat Shalom at 1:30 in the afternoon. I think this is one of the reasons Chalice feels vibrant and thriving to me. Our numbers may not be changing rapidly, but our community is. We have new groups forming, new activities being offered, new people getting involved all the time. Our social justice and service groups are especially thriving. We continue to offer a monthly dinner at Haven House, our local homeless shelter. We continue to take special Sunday collections for a variety of local organizations doing important work. It is especially notable that we've raised several $1,000s this year for the San Diego Rapid Response Network, which is providing emergency housing shelter for asylum seekers who are awaiting court proceedings. And of course, we've just launched a Faithify fundraising campaign to raise money for our home build project in Tijuana this October 26th and 27th. Save the dates. I hope you'll come. I was recently reminded that just a few years ago, we felt intimidated trying to raise $1,500 for a Habitat for Humanity project. And now, just a few years later, here we are confident that we can raise $4,500 for this project. I think the difference is not so much our fundraising abilities as it is our clarity that these kinds of projects are why Chalice exists. If we aren't working to make the world a better place, then why are we here? Other signs that indicate health to me: that we help each other through hard times. It's one of the privileges of my role at Chalice that I get to hear your stories of how the community held you through an illness, through a loss, through change. What it meant to have people reach out with kind words and offers of help. What it means to come to church on Sunday and cry a little and have that be okay. One of you recently shared in our new social group on Facebook about feeling a little overwhelmed with bad news in the world, but then waking up humming one of our hymns from the previous Sunday and feeling a little cheered and a little more hopeful. I love that. That's exactly what I hope that Chalice is offering, helping each other make our way through difficult and challenging times. And one of the things that we're still learning about and will continue to discover, because it's all new, is how this digital age and these changing times offer new ways for people to connect with the Chalice community. Certainly, some people still find the congregation, begin attending, join as members, and get involved. That is still one of the pathways to community. But more and more, we're finding other ways that people connect. Some people find one of our small groups, like Cracker Barrel on Wednesday mornings or the Women's Meditation Group on Thursdays. Some people find these groups, attend the group regularly, and that's enough. They don't see a need to attend on Sunday or to join the church formally. And that's okay. Any way that people find our community and make a connection is meaningful. We reach unknown numbers of people through our email list, our Facebook page, and our sermon recordings. There are 380 people on our email list. That's more than 100 people who want to know what's going on at Chalice, but aren't attending or participating regularly yet. To me, that says they're thinking about it. And someday the day may come when they decide to come to Chalice and attend. Sometimes the video of the sermon is watched by more people online than were present to hear it in person. How do we calculate that when we think about worship attendance? So it's all these kinds of things that say to me that Chalice is thriving. We are doing the things that this religious community was formed to do, offering help and support to one another, working to make the world a better place, and nurturing a next generation of people whose lives will be grounded in the 7 principles. So, what's next for us? Well, you may know that we're building a building. At long last, after years of planning and fundraising, our construction project is underway. We have been meeting at Temple Adat Shalom in Poway since January, and we hope to be back at Miller Avenue by summer with a beautiful new multi-purpose building with 6 classrooms for Sunday mornings, and those will be meeting rooms for the rest of the week. That building includes 2 lavatories and a kitchenette, and there will also be welcome improvements to our parking lot. Even though construction is underway, it's still really hard to imagine it done. We've been so pressed for space for so long at Chalice. What will it be like to have 6 new meeting rooms? The multi-purpose building will not only allow us to finally develop our children's religious education program fully, but will also allow us to serve as a local community center. Even before construction started, we were renting space at Chalice to outside organizations that included 2 support groups and a spirituality group. It is part of our vision for the space that we can offer affordable rental space to community groups whose purposes are compatible with our principles and values. One of our goals for the next church year is to create well-designed, attractive, and welcoming classroom and meeting spaces, as well as outdoor play spaces. We want our rooms to be flexible and able to be used for a variety of activities. We also want to continue to investigate additional fundraising sources and activities. Chalice is a very generous congregation, and we've worked together to accomplish some amazing things. We have a lot to be proud of. And we can look ahead and see that we'd like to develop income sources beyond the giving of our congregants. Grants, donations from outside organizations, special projects. Getting more creative with our fundraising will help ensure our sustainability for years to come. So, speaking of fundraising, it's pledge time. April is pledge month at Chalice, and it's time for members and friends to think about what support you can offer in the next fiscal year, which starts July 1st and goes through June 30th of next year. Your most recent pledge statement, if you are a current pledger, will remind you of what you pledged this year. Please know that your pledge commitment is important and that all amounts are needed. I know that everyone wants to give a big number, right? And if you can't afford to give a big number, it's easy to imagine that maybe your pledge isn't really needed. That is so not true. Half of our congregants donate between $88 a year and $1,200 a year. Instead of thinking about the number, it might be helpful to think about the donation you make as a percentage of income. Our pledge materials include a chart to help you think about your donation. This can be especially helpful for those of you on a fixed income. My husband and I donate 5% of our income to Chalice, We donate another 5% to other organizations that are important to us. So the Chalice community relies on you, our congregants, in order to exist. I've said this before, but I'll say it again. If everybody volunteered time, but not money, Chalice wouldn't exist. And if everybody donated money, but didn't volunteer time, Chalice wouldn't exist either. We need everyone volunteering and donating as they're willing and able. And of course, I very much hope you'll consider increasing your pledge if you're able. We will have a new building to support with all the additional utilities and other costs associated with that. The bulk of our operating budget pays for your church staff, myself, your full-time minister, our office administrator, our director of family ministries, and our music director, as well as our support staff like our childcare providers and our audiovisual technician. We're asking you to consider increasing your pledge 6.5% of whatever you're pledging now, again, if you can. Getting your pledge commitment turned in is more important than ever this year, as we're seeing some differences in the patterns of donations. We don't know yet what it is or what it means, but some patterns seem to be changing, maybe because of the new tax laws, maybe just a strange year, we aren't sure. But it's more important than ever that you make your pledge commitment and get it to us so we can plan the budget for the coming year with good information in our hands. To help encourage you to get that pledge turned in, you'll be entered into a raffle when you make your pledge commitment before April 28th. Our pledge month will conclude with a Celebration Sunday potluck picnic on April 28th at Kit Carson Park. We'll have games, share food together, and have a drawing for some UU-themed prizes. Whether you pledge or not, I hope we will see you at the Celebration Sunday picnic. It should be a fun morning. So that's it. It's an exciting time in the congregation. There's a lot going on and a lot more to come. I want to thank you for being part of this amazing community, and I look forward to all of our work together in the years ahead.